E aí, galera, sejam muito bem-vindos a mais uma edição do nosso Devs pelo Mundo. Hoje eu tô com uma pessoa super especial. Mas antes de a gente começar, comenta aí pra gente ver se vocês estão ouvindo bacana, se o áudio tá legal, a imagem tá legal. E aí eu já começo a fazer a bagunça aqui, né? Estamos hoje com uma pessoa que tá do outro lado do mundo, né, cara? Ó, já comecei a ouvir aqui. Show de bola. Então, ó, já comenta aí pra gente ouvir se vocês estão ouvindo bacana, se tá sendo legal. Já manda o link pros amigos também, para eles virem participar e a gente já começa em alguns minutinhos. Se puder, já manda aí nos grupos também, no WhatsApp, manda no Telegram, manda para todo mundo. E o mais legal, né, cara? Hoje vamos fazer uma bagunça com pessoas de outro lado do mundo, né? Então eu quero que vocês façam perguntas. Nosso papo hoje vai ser em inglês, mas não tenha medo. Pode perguntar em inglês, em português, e aí eu posso traduzir se você não estiver muito confortável com a pergunta. Mas se puder também fazer em inglês, é até mais fácil para a gente já transformar todo esse ambiente dinâmico. Ó, o pessoal já está entrando, áudio e vídeo 100%. Muito show, hein? Hoje eu tô aqui com a minha camiseta do Sepultura, né, mano? Representando o Brasilzão aí, fazendo um metal bem bacana. Deixa eu ver se tem mais gente chegando pra gente fazer uma coisa legal. Então, como de costume, vamos fazer em 1 hora pra gente não cansar o nosso convidado, né? Pra gente falar bastante coisa dentro desse período. Então, conforme você vai ouvindo, já vai jogando as perguntas dentro do chat, que a gente vai conversando, e aí eu já vou perguntando para ela as melhores, claro. Se a gente for ver que tem muita pergunta repetida, ou alguma pergunta que não seja tão legal, a gente vai passando para as próximas, mas pode continuar perguntando. Então, com vocês, vou chamar aí a nossa Anna. Então, hello Anna, welcome to the Devs Around the World.
Hi, Eric.
Yeah. How do you pronounce your name, like your last name? I wasn't sure.
So I pronounce it Anna Henningsen.
Henningsen.
Henningsen. But I mean, you do you.
Nice. What time is it actually there?
I know so it's like 4 minutes past midnight. So
whoa, almost midnight. Yeah, you are talking from Germany, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I live in Düsseldorf in Germany.
Nice. Yeah. So before we do anything, just tell me about a little bit about yourself, because I know there is a lot of accomplishments.
So I mean, usually when people ask me what I do, what I tell them is like, I'm Anna and I work on Node Core. I'm one of the most active Node Core maintainers over the last couple of years. And I mean, that's already pretty much it as far as tech stuff is concerned.
Nice.
I'm not really doing anything else at the moment.
Okay. Guys, this is just a simple person, because if you tell her name on Google, you could see a lot of stuff of her. This is super nice. So you said you are living in Germany, in Düsseldorf, I would say.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So I won't be slow, because we have a time less. Just a minute. Michel, pode fazer a pergunta em português, e aí eu vou traduzindo a forma que for chegando as perguntas em português, mas se puder fazer em inglês é mais rápido, porque aí eu não preciso ficar fazendo switch aqui, né? Senão pra mim é mais difícil também. Beleza? Então pode jogando as perguntas no chat que a gente vai falando. It's because Michelle were asking about the questions, if it will be in Portuguese or if it is in English. So this is a little bit confusing, but won't be confusing. Let's just keep talking. Armando Armando is there. It was our first guest. Super nice. So I'm super curious about your routine, because I mean, you are working something which is open source, is on GitHub, but I mean that I know that there's a lot of people working on this. Talk about a little bit about your routine. So what do you do, like your daily life?
So yeah, I mean, usually the first thing I do when I start with my Node.js work is I start going through my GitHub notifications, of which there can be a lot. So like when you're watching the Node.js/Node repository on GitHub, you're getting like hundreds of notifications each day. Obviously it varies from day to day, but yeah. And so sometimes, there's things in there that require my attention. And usually those are relatively quick, like reviewing pull requests or responding to issues that, are easy to respond to. And usually after that part, I go back to whatever I have most recently been working on. Like I keep a list of things that I want to be working on. It's my personal to-do list, and it's ordered by like how urgent and important things are. And I pick the top item and I work on that.
Nice. But I mean, this is when I first talked to you, I remember I was like, but you work on Node and you still work in consultancy projects or side project, or are you full-time working on the Node project?
Right now I'm full-time working on Node, yeah.
Nice.
I mean, like I maintain 2 or 3 smaller side projects on GitHub, but it's more like a once a month thing, not something I do day to day.
Yeah, guys, for those who are watching this, she said it's simple project, but I just found out one of her repositories, it was like millions or thousands downloads per week. It was like, my God, it's a lot of. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's one project that I took over, which is the most popular one by far. I didn't even write it. I just took over maintenance. And it's not the best thing in the world for sure, but people use it and people need maintenance for it.
For sure. Yeah. Edipo just did a very good questions. You work on open source, but how people get paid for working on open source? This is super. Like, I want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's not always the easiest thing. So like, there's a couple people who get to get paid to work on Node and adjacent projects, full-time, paid work, open source. And the more common way to do that is, you join a company and you join a team that does open source work. For example, IBM has a couple people working on Node. Just because they need support for various IBM platforms that you have never heard of. But they pay people to do that. Or Google pays people to work on V8 because they want V8 to be good because they want Chrome to be good. And for them, it doesn't really matter whether it's open source or not. It's my way of getting into paid open source work is a bit different. I mean, so like, I think 3 years ago, I was already a pretty consistent Node.js contributor, and I was kind of providing a lot of value to the project. And my laptop broke down, which was obviously not great for Node. And so what happened was that I asked for money on PayPal, and James Snell, who's currently my manager, he saw that, and he went to his boss basically and asked, hey, can we pay Anna for what she does for Node, because she should get paid for that. and so I basically joined the company just doing whatever I think was right for Node. And yeah, I've been doing that full time for about a year now. And yeah, so I just slipped into that. It was not really like planned or anything.
Nice. And guys, I just met her. I think it was in Canada. I'm not sure, but I would say that was the first time in my life, not actually my life, but as an experienced developer, that I watched someone talking something that I had nothing, like I had no idea what she was talking about it. Okay. She was like talking like about C++. Yeah, but it was like V8, C++, and JavaScript. I was like, I don't know anything what she's talking. So this is actually my next question. I've seen a lot of your contributions related to C++. So what do you like most? Is JavaScript or C++?
I mean, I really like that I get to work on both. It's yeah. I mean, I really enjoy working with C++. I like that as a typed language. I definitely prefer that. So I also prefer TypeScript over JavaScript when I have the choice, for sure. I don't know. Sometimes it just feels like one of the languages is the right tool for the job, and it's nice to have two tools available. Yeah, I mean,
nice. But I mean, the mindset would be different. I think working on JavaScript, and I think this is actually something hard to measure. Like, how do you expect to create something in JavaScript? No, actually, how do you choose between JavaScript or C++ when you create a new feature for Node? This is super curious for me. Yeah.
I mean, that's actually pretty simple because when we can do it in JavaScript, we do it in JavaScript. Because JavaScript is just like a lot more accessible to a lot of the people who use Node.js, right? It's people who use Node.js, they know JavaScript. So if we want them to be able to contribute to Node, if we want them to be able to understand the code, look at it, we use JavaScript. And usually it's also a bit easier to write things in JavaScript. Obviously, that doesn't work out for every part of Node, because there's lots of things that interact with V8 or with libuv directly, or some of the other libraries that we embed. And in those cases, we pick C++. I mean.
Okay. Super. I mean, super specific. Yeah. Nice. And I mean, I have a lot of questions. I have not only like to talk about only an hour. But guys who is watching, just talk here, send some messages. Yeah, because this is the time to use Anna's time. So let's keep talking. So Node.js is one of the most popular projects around the world, I think. And this is like when you release something, you feel like an impact. Like it's hard to measure who you're gonna affect.
Yeah.
How was that feeling to release the first feature on Node?
I mean, like my first feature to Node, I mean, that was not the first change that I did to Node, but the first real feature was pretty niche. It was like support for concatenated gzip files, unzipping them directly, and it's just like very specific. It was nice to have that in Node. To basically make it work like the gzip command line program. It was obviously nice to get something into Node, get it shipped to millions and millions of machines. But yeah, it was also not like a huge thing. I mean, I didn't start out implementing a huge feature that everybody would start using right away. That's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually myself. I remember it was my first Node.js Collab Summit, and people talking, "Oh, you're gonna release your first PR there. You're gonna commit something." It was just like swipe positions of a test, but for me it was magic. Like I remember, I looked at everyone. Like I have the Node core team here. Like everyone is super like available, super attention to talk. It was really, really nice. I mean, I don't know, like to change your whole career. Oh yeah, this is other question. Yeah, just coming a lot of questions. But before working like full time with Node, what did you do?
Well, I mean, before I worked on Node full time, I worked on Node part time. No. So I mean, I did study at university before I came on full time, and before that, I also I worked on a software project that used Node. I mean, that was why I got into Node in the first place, because I had changes to make to Node that improved it because I was using Node. So yeah, but that was just standard standard website project. Nothing huge like Node.
Nice. Oh, we have some questions, and it's super nice because I was actually waiting for some of these questions about the Dino project. But this question I will let at the end because we can talk a little bit more, but it's super interesting that people is starting to asking there. It's super nice. So yeah, you said now every day you have to look the pull requests, actually the notifications. But what is the hardest part of your daily job?
I mean, that I guess that is the same answer for all open source projects like Node. It's the discussions. I mean, Node.js has 100 core collaborators, and not all of them are active, and not all of the people involved are collaborators. But still, you have a lot of people, you have a lot of opinions, you have a lot of discussions about lots of tiny things. And just bringing everybody to onto the same page, and
nice.
That takes time and it's exhausting.
Yeah, but this is a really good question for me, for myself actually, because when I see the whole website, the whole effort of people start working, I was wondering if something like I start working in something and someone who's faster than me just release the same issue or just release a new feature and my whole job is gone. So have you ever worked in something and then you just like trash everything? Or
it's funny that you mentioned there was one very prominent instance of that happening earlier this year, where I implemented a feature and somebody else basically did the same thing in a different way that I felt was not optimal. And that was just like tricky. Simply because I had not known about the other person also doing that work when I opened my pull request. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done that. But that happens.
Nice. Oh, we have another interesting question here. It's from TK. He said, as Node uses V8, how do you collaborate with V8 team from Google? How is the relationship?
Well, I mean, so the relationship has changed a bit over the last couple of years. There's so I wondered, like, we have had joint summits where we try to get as many people as possible into one room 2 or 3 times since I joined the project. We also have V8 people contributing to Node, and conversely Node people contributing to V8. That just happens. And Node master is part of the V8 CI, and V8 master is part of the Node CI. So we're really trying to keep things up to date, and we're in a pretty good place there, I would say.
Nice. So, I mean, Node.js is a dream for a lot of people right here in Brazil. I've seen people like in meetups or community that are like, man, I would love to work with something like it's cutting edge. It's completely different than I've been working here. But I know that like you started working with Node because you like the platform. So what is the feature you most like on Node? This is hard, I think. Almost proud, I think. Because
so I mean, the thing that people know me for is workers. Like, I put a lot of effort into implementing workers in Node. But the feature that I actually like the most myself, think that, so like, I don't know if you've seen it, if you go to the Node.js documentation and you look at a feature like a specific function or so, you get a little changelog that tells you when the function was added and when significant changes had been made to it, like adding a new parameter or something. And I did most of the work behind that, or like at least I guided the effort. And that I think is a really nice feature. it's not a feature of Node, it's a feature of the Node docs, but
yeah. And this is something interesting because people sometimes feel like, oh, I'm not a really contributor because I'm working on docs. But actually, I think that is one of the the most impactful, and you can get best results from, I think.
It is something where you can be super impactful, definitely. Yeah.
But I mean, this is good to mention about worker threads because I work as a consultant here, and a lot of customers, no, we shouldn't use Node for that because it's single thread and this is not good anyway. But how did you start working with worker threads? How this just appeared in your life, I think?
Well, I mean, so first of all, to be fair, worker threads fill a pretty niche position. Their use case is moving CPU intensive work off from the main thread, and that is pretty much it. So I totally get that people sometimes say, no, we don't want to use worker threads. But anyway, so it's something that people had been asking for a while. There were attempts to implement it earlier than my work. And it just it required somebody to actually put in a lot of work and push through on the implementation. And I mean, the conceptual work wasn't that complicated. It's Node.js theoretically, it supports embedding in other applications. So for example, Electron creates Node instances as part of its being Electron. And so there's no reason why Node can't do that as well. You could just start new threads and create new Node instances, just like the main one. So the problems were more like the details. Lots of Node internals didn't really expect multi-threading, and we had to make sure that for worker threads we properly clean up resources, because once a worker thread is done, it should not have any memory attached to it. It was also a huge time when it was blocked on Windows support for one very specific feature, because there aren't that many people in Node working on Windows support. That really took a bit of time.
For sure. Oh, we have some questions here. I brought I will join some questions to take one, and I will do some magic there. So
okay.
if you were to start today working on Node with no previous knowledge about the platform, what tips would you do to this person? Yeah, to yourself, actually. Yeah. Your mind, your start working. Yeah, what tips would you do, or just avoid to do something?
I mean, so if you want to add something to a project like Node.js, it really helps when you have a concrete idea of what you want and how it should look like. And ideally, I mean, if you want to contribute, it also helps if you know how to do the work and implement it yourself, or find somebody who's willing to do that. But I mean, generally, it involves a lot of talking to people. Usually, that is a pretty good start. Make sure whatever you have in mind makes sense, or just do it and try it out on your own project or something like that.
Nice. Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of. I mean, this is tricky for so many ways, because when you go to the Node, myself, when I was trying to contribute, I want to put my name on Node because a lot of people will use it later, and I felt if I would ping Anna on Twitter, or ping someone who's working there on Twitter, or any other place, would be annoying. I was feeling like that, because I wasn't sure what I was about to do to fix on Node. I want to work on open source. And actually, my experience about the Node, I started working and I started learning a lot of stuff that I didn't see on my CRUD applications here, my APIs, how to test, or how you can make some exchange with languages. So I got a lot of knowledge, but I think it was a little bit hard to find by myself. I think I had like your help or other guys' help too. But I mean, from scratch, I think is a little bit hard. I don't know. Actually, this is a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, if you're feeling unsure about these kinds of things, you can generally ask most active Node core contributors on Twitter. I mean, I consider that to some degree part of my job. When it's like specific questions about how you contribute to Node. You can also always open issues on GitHub and just talk to us about what you want to do. I mean, that can always be a good conversation starter, and it can help you figure out, like, is this something that am I having the right ideas? Do I know how to approach things? And you can just, when you do that, you can just ask questions like, so how do I write a test? And I think people will just point you to a link because we have a guide on how to write tests for Node. But it's still, I get that it's not obvious to everybody. And you can just, you can ask questions always on GitHub.
This is great. But I mean, there's something that people shouldn't do in this PR, because I've seen some tweets from collaborators. What do you think is annoying as a collaborator to, like, someone is trying to get involved and they just disappear? Or what kind of thing annoys you when you are trying to help people? Because this is nice.
I mean, when they disappear, that's always like not helpful. And it does happen quite a bit, like, because it's not a terrible thing by itself, but it gets tricky because do you just take that PRO over? How often do you ping them? Like, at what point is it polite to just say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and finish this for you? That is something that gets tricky. I don't think people are usually annoying when they open pull requests. I mean, trolls are annoying, or people who post spam.
Trolls everywhere.
But
sure.
I mean, that's not really. It's something that we're dealing with pretty well, and that is not the typical I want to contribute to Node case.
Yeah, it's hard. But we know that you work a lot of Node, but you also work on the Node.js committee. So what is that? I was like, whoa, committee, well, what is that?
So it doesn't actually mean a whole lot. So there's the Node.js technical steering committee, and the job is, so like, if there's two different opinions on a pull request, and people have discussed it a lot on GitHub, and there was no conclusion in the end. And somebody needs to make the decision. That is where the TSC comes in. So, like, then it is tagged with a specific GitHub label so that our tooling picks it up, so that it is added to the agenda for our next meeting as a committee. And then we talk about it in the meeting, and then we figure out, like, so do we make a decision? Do we even have to call a vote? Do we just, like, say, hey, please continue discussing on GitHub? So I mean, that is what the TSC is for. We also do some minor things, like figure out how to figure out sometimes who's in charge of something, like somebody who's in charge of making worker threads happen, or quick in Node, so that people have a specific person to talk to. That's not part of the main TSC job.
Nice. I mean, it would be a little bit, I don't know. I've just seen people talking and wondering about, like, it's sometimes stressful because you have to get some conclusion as, like, handle with politics, because I don't know on TSC, but I know, like, on TC39, there's a lot of companies involved, and like they have their own interests. So I don't know. Would be hard. I mean.
So I mean, TC39 and the Node.js TSC are very different things. Yeah, I learned the fact that on the TSC, I don't think people are usually pushing company interests, but it's more like people push for whatever they think is good as individuals. That is at least what I do and what most people that I know do, I think. And it doesn't really get stressful because, to be honest, if you're on the TSC and you find it stressful, you can just not be on the TSC. And, there's basically nothing that you can't do if you're not on the TSC. You're still a full-on collaborator, and you can do pretty much everything that you could do before.
For sure. Yeah, even for those who don't know, the Node.js is on YouTube. I think all of the videos is coming there. Like you could see the middle of the day for us Brazilians, but it's actually nice because you've seen people wondering about new features and like suggesting things, and you can get a lot of ideas. So I would suggest if you want to start from somewhere, start from the Node.js meeting because it's amazing just to watch and to see everything. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just so you know, we're actually rotating meeting times so that people in different parts of the world can participate. So it's not always mid of the day in Brazil. It's just gonna differ from time to time.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, a lot of time zones, like right now. Yeah. But I have another question, because I love C#. A lot of people are judging me right now, but I love C#. And I think I can get some ideas from there and put this on Node. So if I were to suggest something on Node, how is the process, like for the first proposal to the release?
So I mean, so generally, it depends on the size of the feature and where you want it to go. Like, I don't know if you have something specific in mind when you say it comes from C#, but if you want things to add things to JavaScript as a language, we don't have anything to do with that. You need to take that out with TC39 and the V8 people, and we're really not in the business of changing the language itself. If you do want a Node.js feature, so it depends. If it's a small feature and you just want it to be there, you can always open a pull request and have the discussion go from there. That is usually the most efficient thing if you want a quick result. If it's something larger, you can always open a feature request issue and say, hey, I would like to see this. Can we talk about having that? Can we have a discussion around this? Maybe even find somebody in the Node.js core project who wants to do the work there, who wants to drive the effort. And if you're not, doing it yourself, and yeah, just expect lots of discussion. I'm sorry about that, but that is kind of how open source works, or at least Node's open governance.
Yeah, I mean, it would work for everything. Like, if you want to suggest something, you should be reasonable to show why you're trying to change something. Yeah, this is a natural process.
Yeah, I mean, so always be prepared to answer the question: why do you want to have this in Node, and why do you not want it to just be an NPM module? Mm-hmm. There should be a reason for that, and I think that is something that a lot of feature requests end up.
And this is another interesting question, because when you start wondering how it's to work in something like that, it's something impactful. There's billions of companies using them. But have you ever seen man, this feature, we broke the whole Node, the whole ecosystem, it could never be released?
I mean, not really. I mean, those tend to get discussed out very quickly if they really do break everything. Because Node has to be backwards compatible to a large degree because millions of people are using it. I think usually the things that get a bit further where we would still reject them because that would totally break Node is things where it gets very, very much into the details and could mess up something like performance. Like, for example, async tracking is something that has been, well, we have been working on that a lot over the last year or two, and it is super sensitive to performance because it's code that's basically run for single thing that Node does. And, there's just some things that we can do there and that are not obvious.
Nice. Yeah, this wasn't in our script, but it's something I think people would like to know. And the top level await, how do you feel when this proposal just comes?
I think it's nice. I don't think it's super important, actually. Yeah. In Node, we definitely have a good use case for that. That is, our tests use async ifs a lot, which could be replaced by top level await. I think it's good because it will drive ES-ME adoption in Node, like of the built-in ES module implementation instead of like Babel and stuff like that. But yeah, it's nice to have. I think it's it's not a game changer, at least for me. But
it's because I've seen like a lot of discussions saying, "Oh, it will broke the whole ecosystem, and we shouldn't do that." I was like, I don't know if it's a big deal. Like a lot of people are involved in this, so I wasn't that sure, but yeah, it's good to know. Yeah. So I'm about to do like the most polemic question right here. There is the question that a lot of people are asking on the chat. So how the Dino project affects your daily job or will affect your job in the future?
Probably not at all. It's so far the most impact that it has had is that people ask us how Dino is going to impact Node, and it's nice that there's competition out there. I think there's a lot of good reasons to use Dino if you want that, or a lot of good reasons to use Node. And ultimately, people are going to write code that they wanted to run everywhere. If they're writing in JavaScript, they wanted to run in the browser, they wanted to run in Node, they wanted to run in Dino. So in the end, I think it's just going to be a runtime that you can choose if you think it fits your project better than other things. Kind of like NPM or Yarn,
Yeah.
As long as you aren't doing super fancy things with them, it doesn't really matter which one you use. It's personal preference.
I would just put this word, doesn't matter what you use. Nice. And like, this is a really hard question, like Anderson just did on the chat. Yeah, this is tricky. What do you think about Node.js versus the Dino project for future projects? Do you think we should study both or just keep going with Node?
Yeah, like I said, use what you want to use, right?
Sure.
It's definitely going to be a while before it becomes super mainstream and used for tons of projects. There's still good reasons to go with Node, if only because it has been around for a really long time, over 10, 11 years now. It's definitely battle tested. But if you think, hey, Dino has this one cool feature that I want to use in my project here, then go for it.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Rafael just did a question. This is a little bit hard. It's like Rust claims to be safe. It's indeed more safe, at least from memory management perspective. Could you tell us some case that C++ tricked you with some weird bug that cost a lot of effort to be found? This is hard, yeah.
I mean, yeah, thinking of one specific instance is hard. I mean, so one of the really not so nice things about working in Node on the C++ side is, JavaScript is a garbage collected language, C++ is not. And integrating those two in a way that does not result in memory leaks is kind of hard. I think memory leaks is a bit more common than the reverse, like use after free, where you just get a crash because you didn't manage memory properly. But yeah, that definitely happens from time to time. Even happens inside of V8. I think one really gnarly thing that if you go to the V8 repo and look for commits, for me, there's one about backing stores and shared pointers. That one was really gnarly because C++ doesn't have like type safe unions, and you really would have wanted them in that case. I don't know.
Nice. Okay, let's change a little bit our subject here. I want to know more about your career because I know Anna a lot. Like I've searched about her a lot. We can say a lot of her accomplishments here, but we are humans. We do some errors around our life. What was your biggest mistake? Like an update without where, or just like putting all systems, just shut down systems? What was the biggest mistake?
Well, I've certainly made mistakes of that kind. But one of the nice things about working on Node is that you're doing a lot with Git and GitHub, and it's really hard to make mistakes that you can't fix. And I mean, as far as my career is concerned, I would say I'm doing pretty well.
Nice.
I mean, to be honest, like if I could start over 10 or 15 years ago, I might not even go into tech at all, knowing what I know now. But yeah, I mean, it's yeah.
Nice. Which career would you go?
Well, that is a hard question. I don't really know. But I don't know if that's your experience, but tech can be pretty exhausting. And I know that people leave tech just because of the community, just because of the culture. And I totally get that. And yeah, I mean, I'll try to, in the future, I'll try to, be part of the community in a way that does not have that exhausting quality.
I mean, that's hard because we handle tech, we actually handle ourselves, actually, the emotion, the sensation, all the like pressure coming around. It would be hard, yeah. So you live actually in Germany, you said. We Brazilians, we think like if we could live in Germany or any place in Europe, we could live like a nomad, like going to Scotland, to Ireland, and a lot of other countries. Have you thought about working as a nomad?
So I mean, I am working remotely, and I always have been, and so I mean, I can definitely do that, and I have definitely enjoyed that. I have traveled a lot and sometimes worked while traveling. But in the end, I mean, I have a life here in Düsseldorf. I have my partner here. I have friends here. I have people that I meet. It's yeah. I mean, I can travel a lot. I enjoy that, but I'm not going to give up a fixed. I'm not going to stop renting an apartment somewhere.
yeah, I have the same. Yeah. Okay, we have a lot of questions coming. Super nice, guys. Yeah, we have just 15 minutes left, so just keep asking. Let's use the Anna's time a lot today. Yeah. So we have a very interesting question here. What are suggestions for someone who wants to get paid for working on open source projects?
I don't know if you're like looking for suggestions for projects or for careers. I mean, the thing that I did is I joined a project. I became valuable to the project in a way that,
it was just a consequence.
It would have been kind of bad for the project if I left. And I guess you can do that with most projects that have some kind of corporate backing. But typically, if you like I said, if you want to work on open source and you want to get paid for that, the best thing you can do is join a company that supports some open source projects and where you can do that full time. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, we had a lot of this same question on the chat, so we'll just reformulate a little bit. What are the technologies you are wondering for the future? Because we know there is a lot going on.
Sorry, what are the what?
What are the technologies you are wondering for the future? Yeah.
So one thing that I definitely want to learn is Rust. That has been on my to-do list for a while, and I think I would enjoy it a lot if I got to actually work on it for some kind of project. I also think TypeScript is going to become more and more awesome over time.
Yeah.
No doubts about that. Yeah. I don't know. Somebody's going to come up with something exciting, and we're all going to start using it because it's going to be super hyped.
For sure.
I just don't know what that is yet.
Yeah. But have you worked with some IoT project, like hardware stuff?
Not me myself, no. I've been to conferences a lot, and I've seen people do super cool things with IoT stuff. But I've never really been like into hardware things. I've always stopped like when I got to like assembly level, that not lower than that.
Nice. Oh, we have a question from Armando. He said, what are your opinions on functional programming? Any paradigm preferences?
Yeah, I love functional programming. It's a really nice approach to a lot of problems. It is something that you can do easily in JavaScript a lot of the time. And the nice thing about JavaScript is that you can, if it doesn't work out, you can always fall back to some kind of non-functional programming approach, and still in the end wrap the result in a way that you can use in functional programming. So yeah, if I love it.
The first time I saw you like speaking at the conference, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is like a rock star I want to be someday. Like a lot of knowledge. And I was wondering, what do you do in your free time?
So first of all, I'm not a rock star. I mean, I do have a lot of experience with JavaScript and C++, and specifically with with the kind of work that I do. I mean, I've been doing it for 4 years now. I know what I'm talking about. But at the same time, keep in mind that everybody is a beginner at something. I have never written a single line of React. And I will assume that most of your listeners have. So yeah, I'm not a rock star. I'm very specific in the things that I do. That's all.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, what do I do in my free time? So I don't really do any tech stuff in my free time. I mean, simply because it's part of my day job. I don't want to do more of that. I don't know. I play soccer. I ride my bike. I did. You use kilometers in Brazil and not like miles, right? You're one of the good countries. So yeah, I did 110 kilometers this week in total so far, which I'm really proud of. Doesn't have anything to do with tech. I watch Netflix. I meet with friends. Just regular
humor,
normal
yeah.
people stuff.
Really nice. Yeah, I mean, what you said about the job, this is kind of this is hard to measure, because I've seen people like the same. Oh, you're a rock star because you're speaking, you are creating a lot of stuff. But this sometimes we're just trying to share knowledge, or we're just trying to do something more on this is super like, I love to do that. Like, we met friends. Guys, I met her in Ukraine, Canada, and I don't remember other, like, a lot of countries, a lot of like remote conference as well. So this
Colombia.
is nice part of the Colombia too. Yeah, it was the first time. Yeah, super nice. Yeah. So we have more questions. We have just 8 minutes left, guys. Oh, my dog just started barking. Oh, don't. Yeah, this is a good question. How many years do you work with development, software development?
I mean, I have been working, programming for fun since I was like 10 or 11 or so. So that would make about 16 years, I think.
Whoa, nice.
Yeah, I think that works out in it. I mean, I had a lot of free time in high school.
Yeah. So it's like we have 3 minutes. Yeah. So try to summarize how was to, from like the high school to become a developer actually.
Well, I mean, it's definitely different now than it was back then. Back then, I was mostly just like curious how things worked. When I started programming, I first did BASIC on one of these old computers from the 80s. And that was actually my first language. And at some point, I started doing JavaScript because, you could easily see results in the browser. And but the reason that I learned languages like C or C++ was like, I was super curious how you actually got to make these .exe files on Windows. I had no idea. And if you open them in an editor or something, it's just going to give you garbage. How do people make that garbage run? I was really driven by like, I want to understand how these things work. And right now it's definitely more like, I know how these things work, and I want to build cool things with them. So that has definitely been a bit of a shift there. But maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll have the exact same experiences with Rust again, when I learn that.
I mean, this is like learning something new is something, like for me, it's a lot of exciting. Like, you try, like you struggle a lot. It was like, oh my God, I'm not good enough for that. And then you just
It
is, Oh, Armando asked you, let's say you choose to move out from Düsseldorf. Which place would you have in mind?
Oh, that's a good one. So first of all, there's going to be a lot of debate with my partner because she likes really cold places, like she wants to go to Sweden or Canada, and I definitely don't. So actually, when we were both in Colombia, I felt really at home there. That was one of the places that I would go, Medellin in Colombia. Also, I loved New York. I mean, and I think it's a great city to be in if you're working in tech. I don't really want to move to the US right now for a lot of reasons. But I think those would be my top two. Not sure which order, but yeah.
Yeah. How many countries have you been?
It's a shame I'm not in the other room because I actually have a map.
Oh.
Yeah, I got myself one of these scratch off maps that you know. I don't know, probably 20 or so, but also keep in mind that Europe is just like a lot of small countries.
Nice. Yeah. Actually, you said Colombia. I've been there in the NodeConf, and actually this year, because the pandemic, I wouldn't go. But I was wondering to study Spanish there, because I felt like, man, this place is amazing. Yeah, like it's super. People like the hospitality and all this stuff, super, super nice. Yeah. If you're watching this, go to Colombia because it's amazing. Yeah. Approved.
Also, NodeConf Colombia is an amazing conference.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now they
awesome.
changed, I think. Yeah, it's just for 2021. Oh, conference, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll definitely try to go there.
Yeah. So we are coming to the end. We have a few questions left. If you guys were watching, just send more messages there. We have just a few minutes. But Anna, this would be something hard, I know. But yeah, what is your dream?
My dream is kind of just like, I mean, I just want to live a comfortable life. I want to be a cat mom. I actually reached out to a shelter earlier today about adopting one. Wish me luck. I don't know. I want to have a garden big enough to keep a donkey and maybe a goat or so. Yeah. Also not something tech related, but yeah.
This is super, super great.
It's just like, my personal thing, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, this is something that people should realize. Like, job, we should have like this kind of groups in our mind. This time is for job. This time is for fun. This time is to like improve itself. So this is really, really great. Yeah, we have 2 minutes. Let me see. Oh, yes, you cool cats and kittens. This is... Do you have dogs too or not?
No, I'm not a dog person. My partner is. Also going to be a long discussion, but I'm not talking about that here.
No. I just learned a dog from my mom. I think she was trying to teach me how is to have a child before I had. Yeah. I just gave up from babies. Jesus Christ, this is not a lot of effort. I was like, no way. This is hard, I think. Yeah, like dogs, they need actually attention and yeah. And like now, barking like at night. Yeah. Okay, so I'm really sad to say that this is our last message, our last question. So, just left a message for who is still here watching you at this late night, I think.
Yeah. I just keep in mind, like I said earlier, everybody's a beginner at something, and when you see people that are like famous in tech, always keep in mind there's so much that they don't know that you do know. It's always going to be there. It's obviously not what they're going to be talking about the most because they don't know it. I'm not going to start giving talks on React anytime soon. Just like, keep that in mind.
This is great. I mean, we should actually make the boundary context. Don't try to learn everything too, because it's so hard.
Well, definitely not everything at once. Yeah.
For sure. Just the steps. Okay, Anna, thank you so much for your time. What time is it now there?
It's 1 a.m. Yeah.
My God, I think your partner will just fight with you now because it's so late. But thank you so much for your time.
It's fine.
Yeah, I wish to have you here more once because we have so much more to talk about it.
I'd love to come back sometime. Yeah.
For sure. So thank you so much. And now, to close, muito obrigado a todos vocês que estão aí assistindo a gente até agora. Não deixa de mandar esse link para todos os amigos também, de mandar para as pessoas ouvir essas palavras que a Ana falou. Eu vou tentar legendar o vídeo para depois assistirem também, então pode mandar para todo mundo. E, pô, se não conseguir entender, depois diminui a velocidade do YouTube, tenta entender, porque, pô, é muito conteúdo bacana. E não deixa de seguir a Ana no Twitter. Então, your Twitter is here on the description. So, if the people want to follow her, just follow her. And all people are talking, come to Brazil, Anna. We would love to have you here.
I will, yeah. Sure, I will.
So, thank you so much again. See you next video.
Thank you. Well, bye.